All right, what's going on, guys? I know I have not been the most consistent. I've been posting every 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. And of course, that's not good if I want to, continue to grow this channel and try to get as much engagement to this channel as possible. Not only for that, but just because I do like making this content, and I've had more than enough free time to film at least 2 or 3 videos, and I just have not had the motivation to do it. I did say that in the last video, but I just want to reiterate that. I've just been so, not necessarily distracted, just haven't been really as locked in as I should be. But that's going to change. I'm going to shoot this video, probably going to shoot another video this weekend if possible. Basically, this video is kind of like a 6-month, aka 10,000 mile review. I've had this car for about 6.5 months or so, and I've also put 11,475 miles. I did go a little over 10,000 miles, and that's because I went to Austin, came back. By the time I came back, I was at like 10.5, almost 11K. So I just wanted to get a little bit more experience with the car, you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm basically just gonna give you some pros, some cons, some pros and cons for my friends, things about the car that I think could be improved, things that I think are perfect, and yeah, just a little bit overall, review. I'm heading to my parents right now, so I got about an hour-and-a-half drive, so I'm just gonna do a little bit of talking right now, and then we'll park somewhere, talk a little bit more. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I wonder if I can plug the camera in. All right, I was able to actually plug in my camera to the car, and that's because I have the high wattage USB-C. This isn't the Pro section, but that is a Pro. It's fast enough to charge my camera without it dying. Ooh. It tastes like a flat cherry cola. I mean, I love Celsius, they want to sponsor, but if not, I'm just gonna blur that. So there's no particular order of the cons that I'm gonna be going through. One of the biggest cons that I've run into so far, again, if y'all seen my older videos, I've came from a 2013 Chevy Impala. I don't know the exact measurements of either or, but in my opinion, the Impala felt like it had way more trunk space than the Tesla. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of trunk space in the Tesla, but I just feel like it's not as much, and I feel like there could just be a little bit more. The car could be possibly, I guess it would have to be a little bit longer, or the trunk space could just be a little bit deeper and maybe cut off some of the underspace cargo, because when I put stuff in my trunk, I always have the issue of stuff hitting the top of the trunk. Maybe it's just user error, probably definitely user error, but I don't know, I just feel like there needs to be just a little bit more. The next con that I've kind of noticed, despite this being an all-wheel drive, is that the wheels slip a lot. If it's a little wet outside, or if I hit a bump, my wheels feel like they hit the bump, and then when they hit the ground, even though they're still technically on the ground, it feels like the wheels slip a little bit if I brake. I'll continue gliding rather than fully stopping. The only time I run into the issue is when I'm braking, and so I don't know if it's just the type of tires I have, or if it's just the car itself being so heavy that when I hit a bump and brake at the same time, it's just so much momentum going forward that's causing the issue. I don't know, but I do feel like that's a serious issue if you run into some seriously bad weather, or you just hit a big bump at a red light intersection and you could just go further than you expect. This next con is gonna be one that's been a common issue in all Teslas, and that's the paint quality. I noticed that I get so many rock chips on my paint, and I know I should get PPF, but PPF is so expensive, and I didn't realize how expensive it was for PPF when I got the car. I just wish I did it, don't get me wrong, I wish I did the front at least, but there's so many rock chips on the paint of my car. Let's talk about the auto shift. The auto shift is very hit or miss. I wish it was a little bit more consistent. There'll be times where I'll back up, both things will look like they're turning green to check, but then I'll turn the wheel a little too quick and it'll uncheck the wheel, and then I'll just be shooting myself backwards instead of going forwards. And when I'm doing that, and say there's somebody behind me or a car is parked behind me and I hit them, that's gonna be my fault, and that's because I trusted the auto shift feature. And I'm not gonna lie, it only works about half the time. There'll be times where I'll pull in somewhere where the car should kind of determine that, based off the surroundings and how I'm turning and how quickly I brake, that it should recalibrate to show that I'm going backwards or wanting to go backwards, but it doesn't do that. I feel like it activates auto shift in the most inconvenient times whenever I'm not actually trying to auto shift, and it just kind of, it's weird how it calculates. I just wish I understood how it actually calculates it, because sometimes it just doesn't make sense. All right, so this next con is really gonna only relate to people that either have to charge at their apartment with congested charging, or, oh, by the way, we're going through a roundabout right now and the Tesla's killing it. Or if you don't have a charger at all at home. I feel like Teslas are only good if you have a charger at the house, or, non-congested charging at your apartment or something. Again, this is just a personal thing with the chargers I have accessible at my apartment. They're not the fastest, they're not as fast as a normal home charger, and they take way too long to charge. I mean, if I do it overnight, it's fine, but there's some times where I'll have to park at the top of my garage, and I don't want to leave my car on the top of the garage because just the access to get up there is just not as convenient as it should be. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not always get a good enough charge if something comes up, and then there's the conditioning of the battery if you're trying to go to a supercharger, and then there's, you know, supercharger issues if if the stall is down or if people are congesting the supercharger. There's just so many variables that is not as consistent as just getting gas. But don't get me wrong, I do like that it's way cheaper than gas. Another issue I've noticed about the car on the interior is that the quality of the materials aren't the best. No, they're not bad, but I just feel like some of the leather just doesn't feel as leathery as it should. Or I know it's like not actual leather, but like, I don't know. I just feel like some of the materials just feel janky. The doors aren't like as solid as they should be. Grabbing this door handle right here, which I don't know if you can see, it just doesn't feel like the highest quality. It feels like I could break it. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the full self-driving. Full self-driving is amazing. I'm using it right now. You know, there's some ways to get around some, you know, pop-ups of full self-driving whenever you're driving. It's telling you to look forward. Like if you have sunglasses on, for the most part, like I could be looking at you and the car will think I'm looking forward. Like I don't even have to look straight, and I probably should be because the car, this full self-driving just genuinely messed up right now. It went straight in a turn-only lane, and there was only one lane, so I had to just cut over in traffic. Good thing I did decide to look forward because Elon just messed that up. Of course, when I'm talking about the software, the cons of it, it had to do something. And the whole point of this con was for me to tell you that Elon misses exits sometimes. Another thing it does is try to get on toll roads whenever you're not trying to get on a toll road. I have avoid toll roads activated, and then I noticed that if I have use HOV lanes on, even though it's not an HOV lane and it's a toll road, it'll still try to get onto it. But I thought I had solved it by turning off HOV lanes, but today it decided to still hop on the toll road despite the fact that I have avoid toll roads on and use HOV lanes. I had both of those deactivated in their sense because they're definitely labeled differently. And I don't know what's going on, but we're taking a detour for some reason. I don't know if I made a wrong turn. I think I definitely was not paying attention to where I was going. I was just driving. But yeah, I feel like it needs to fix that because some people don't want to get charged tolls if they don't need to get charged tolls. And obviously, yeah, you're supposed to be paying attention and supervised. But if it's going to get unsupervised, that's a big issue because if people are, you know, not looking at what they're doing or what's going on in their surroundings, they could get on the toll roads. Wow, this car is literally in the middle of the intersection right now. But anyways, back to the exit thing. I feel like missing the exits isn't necessarily a big issue because it's only done it a handful of times, but it does do it, which isn't good. I feel like it needs to get over a lot sooner than it does, and it just tries to calculate it in a certain way to where you get the most efficient drive in the fast lane to, you know, get to the exit. I feel like it'd be better if it just got over a lot quicker. All right, new con. I don't know why, but my map is tweaking. Like, let me just pull into this daycare real quick and just show you what's going on. Okay, now it wants to fix. Right after I'm about to pull over and show you. So it was showing the map line as dark gray for some reason, and it shouldn't have. And it was trying to take me, like, I was going the right direction. I knew it was. And it was taking me the wrong route. Okay, so that's another thing. The navigation isn't always on par. The navigation system has a lot of issues, especially in construction zones, which I get. Roads are changing. But I feel like with other Teslas driving in the same location, same area, that they should be able to pick it up and kind of like see how people are driving and why they're driving that way, if it's constant. Because in the area I'm in, there's a bunch of Teslas. And there should be no reason for it to, you know, not calculate the right path to take. Now, this is going to be an obvious one, but I feel like we need more superchargers, especially in certain areas of the city. Like, I don't live in a big city, but I don't live in a small city. Okay, let me rephrase that. I live in a big city. I live in downtown. But where my parents are, I feel like their city, there should be at least one supercharger there. There's a lot of Teslas in the area. It's, you know, there's some good spots that you could have superchargers, but there's not one. You only get one if you go 30 minutes out of the city my parents live in, and if you go downtown. Like, those are the only areas that have superchargers. There's maybe two within a 20 to 30 minute, you know, radius of my parents' house. I just feel like there's a lot of high volume cities that just don't have Tesla superchargers that definitely should, for sure. And I know it's not cheap to do that, but like, come on. If y'all are trying to turn electric vehicles into the most used vehicle, you gotta have more accessibility for the chargers. I don't know about everybody else, but I drive all hours of the day. I can drive at 3 a.m., I can drive at 3 p.m. You know, I fluctuate how I drive, when I drive. It always changes. And one thing I noticed that at nighttime, having black door handles on a super dark gray car at night makes it pretty hard to see the door handles if there's no light, you know, in the surrounding area. So I feel like they could add some type of LED light behind the handle that illuminates at least the frame of the door handle so you can see, just like the Model S does. I don't know if you've ever seen a Model S, but the Model S, the door handle protrudes, which I think is way better than these door handles. I love that door handle. And it has a light so you can see it. If they could either add that door handle or add a light behind these door handles, I feel like that'd make a world of a difference, especially if you have new people. Let's say you do Uber with the Tesla. A lot of them do not know how to open the door, and if it's dark, they're not gonna even see the door handle because it doesn't protrude out at all. So an LED light or a change of door handles is definitely something I think they should add to the next model or the next refresh or whatever. I just think they need to do something of that nature. All right, I only got 2 more cons. This one is kind of personal preference because I do travel a lot and I have camera gear, and I feel like, in my opinion, the frunk needs 2 things. One, it needs to be big enough to fit a carry-on, full-size carry-on suitcase at the minimum. I feel like if you're able to put that carry-on in your frunk, it's more secure than the trunk, because if they break into the car, obviously they can access the screen and stuff, but I feel like you need the ability to also lock the frunk. There's no direct access to the frunk besides either prying that shit open or, you know, accessing the screen. Now, I don't know if you break into a Tesla, if you're still able to access the frunk and all that. I don't know. But I like how the glove box is able to be locked, because you can put valuables in there and they can, you know, of course they'd have to break the glove box open, or, you know, they'd have to know your PIN to get into the glove box. But I feel like that takes way more time than it would to just be able to pop it open. And if you have an idea if a Tesla's broken into, if you're still able to access all, you know, like the frunk and the glove box and all that, if after it's been broken into, let me know down in the comments. But I just feel like the frunk should have a passcode, and it should be a little bit bigger to fit a full-size carry-on. Because at the minimum, what do people steal whenever they break into cars that have luggage? They steal the carry-on or the check bag. I just feel like carry-ons will have more valuables in it than the check bag would. And I just think something of that size should be able to fit in a lockable frunk. And the last con that I have, which is probably, ironically, the biggest one, is that I don't know if it's just Teslas. Something about them is people get car sick really easily in the back seats. And I know it's because they're quick and stuff like that, but they're very jerky. Like when you drive, I should say, like it's you feel everything, every turn, every little slight, you know, drift off in correction of the car. Like you feel everything, and that causes people to get a lot more car sick. I get car sick very easily, and I've been in Ubers that are Teslas, and I've been in the back seat, and I can't even be on my phone because I just feel every movement of the Tesla, and it just makes me feel sick. And I'm like, dang, is this what my friends feel like when they're sitting in the back seat and they're having to deal with my driving? Not that I'm a bad driver. They'll say I'm a bad driver, but we all know I'm not a bad driver because I use Elon 90% of the time. But again, Elon messes up a lot. And by the way, I call full self-driving Elon, so if you hear me referring to Elon, I'm talking about full self-driving. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Teslas, I don't know if there's any way to fix that, or I don't know what, but Teslas, you get really car sick in, and that's a con from my friends and myself. So those are all of my cons. And again, that one con of my friend, but there's one common con with friends that don't know Teslas or know how they work, is when they try to use the screen or the interface. Obviously, it's very plain and simple to the common person for the most part, but if you're asking them to do something quickly and they don't know what they're doing, like they have to search everything, the UI is kind of confusing to some people, and some people don't understand that you can just tap the screen to unlock the trunk or the frunk or whatever. Like, it's not as point blank as it should be. Again, I don't think it's too difficult, you know, because if you open up your controls panel, you automatically have all your main controls there, like fold the mirrors, child lock, window lock, glove box, mirrors, steering wheel, like all that's in one screen. Obviously there's other pages for other stuff, but not everybody's gonna know about this, you know, exact page right here, and they'll just look at what's on the screen and be like, what do I click? So I feel like the UI is a little confusing for first comers and people that don't really understand how Teslas work. So maybe if they could simplify it a little bit, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty simplified, but just for other people, they might not understand. All right, I'm gonna take a little break in between my pros and cons, and we'll get to a different setting to talk about the pros. But I just wanna give you a little reminder that if y'all like any of the Tesla accessories that I have, or if you wanna see what Tesla accessories I have, there's a link down below that says Tesla Accessories. It's an Amazon affiliate link, and if y'all use that link, I get a little kickback, and that helps me buy more stuff to make more videos on. There are a couple things that I have bought that I'm gonna be making videos on. Nothing crazy, but kind of stuff that'll help, you know, I guess, the longevity of the interior in some type of way, and also help keep your car a lot cooler. So I'll make a video on that, and those videos will come out after this one. But yeah, that's just a little reminder. Also, another link down below y'all could click is my Tesla referral link. The promotion of this link is always changing, but as of right now, if you want to buy a Tesla, you can get up to 3 months of free full self-driving supervised. So if you're wanting to pay monthly, that's $300 you're saving right there. And I guess if you pay it in full, you don't really get a discount in a way. But this promotion is always changing. The link always works, but sometimes you'll get up to, you know, $500 off, $2,000 off. It's always changing, so I can never say for sure what it's going to be when you click on it. But as of right now, as of this video being uploaded, you get 3 full months of full self-driving supervised for free, again, if you buy a Tesla using my referral link. All right, so I'm at the gym now, and I thought I'd go ahead and give you all the pros before I get that nice chest and tricep workout in. Let's go ahead and start with the first pro, which is like the instant speed for like passing cars. I feel like the torque in this car is perfect enough. I have the dual motor all-wheel drive. Obviously, if it's dual motor, it has to be the all-wheel drive version. Basically, I feel like the 0 to 60 4.2 in 4.2 seconds is more than enough for like everyday driving. Obviously, it'd be nice to have the performance and get that 3.2 0 to 60. I'm pretty sure it's 3.2. I could be wrong, or 2.9. Whatever it is, I feel like this gets the job done for, you know, the average person. Obviously, I would want the performance personally, just because I like going quicker, I should say. But yeah, I mean, again, the 4.2 is way more than enough. The next thing I want to talk about is how comfortable these seats actually are. Now, I'm in the back seat. I'm about 5'11", 215 pounds or so. And the middle seat's kind of squished, but these other seats are not too bad. Obviously, if you have 3 people at my size back here, it's not going to be the most comfortable ride. But the front seats are amazingly comfortable. I get through long road trips all the time. I never really have any back issues, or I'm never hurting or anything like that. They're pretty squishy for these. I do believe that the black seats are a little bit more comfortable than the white seats, in my opinion. The white seats feel a little bit different. I don't know if I'm just tripping when I say that, but I feel like the black seats are definitely a lot more comfortable. And I only know that because Jadon's girlfriend has the white interior, and I sit in the back all the time, and it feels a little bit different. The next pro would definitely be the cooling seats in the front. Now, I wish the back seats had it so the back seats could also experience the same, you know, cooling, ventilating seats like the front does, but, you know, at least they have heated seats if it gets cold back here. They did get rid of the middle heated seat, which kind of sucks, but, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. At least there's 2 that back here that are heated, and the odds of me having 3 people in the back are not as common as me having 2, so I guess it really doesn't matter, but it would be a nice feature to have. The next one is one of my favorite features for like the winter or the summertime, when your car is either gonna be really hot after parking for a while or really cold. And I like how I can control that all from the Tesla app. Being able to turn on my car 5 minutes or so before I get into the car for it to cool down if it's like 105 degrees outside is amazing. Or you can just do the keep setting on the car, but that wastes more battery. So I kind of prefer to have the overheat protection so it stays about 95 degrees max. And then I'm able to like turn on the car completely to, you know, I say turn on the climate control for my phone so it can cool it down right before I get into it. And it really doesn't take that long. I do think it takes longer to heat it up in the winter, and it does waste a lot more battery. I don't know, I feel like that's like a key feature for your car, especially with the glass roof. Having that beaming heat constantly come through is not the best. So being able to do that from your phone is amazing. Now, charge pricing has got to be one of the biggest pros of this car. Now, obviously there's some superchargers that cost a lot more than others. Some are, you know, 20 cents per kilowatt. Some are like dang near 40, 45, depending on where you're at. And I feel like it's still relatively cheap compared to gas cars. And I'll actually show y'all the metrics of like what I've spent on charging compared to what I would have spent on gas in the past 6.5, 7 months or so. And, you know, as you can tell, like it's pretty much almost half, I believe. So yeah, I just looked at it. It is about half. I've saved $743. I've spent $907 or so, give or take. And that's, you know, including the home charger that I pay for at my apartment, and also as well as the supercharging. And for supercharging, that's about 24% of my supercharging or my charge stats, because I do travel a lot, and 74% is at home. It says 2% other, which I would assume would be like the free chargers maybe. I have no idea. Actually, no, it's not. For someone who drives a lot, saving $743, you know, in the past few months is amazing, because I don't have a lot of money, you know. I don't want to be spending $1,600 on gas in the past 6 months. I'm cool with my 907. I'll keep it that way. Also, at the same time, I wouldn't say this is the most accurate accurate reading, I feel like I might have spent less because this says my home charging average is 17 cents when in reality it's only 10 cents per kilowatt. So it is a little off. I'm not going to do the math because I really don't want to, but rounding up to $900 is still a pretty good range. And I think I'm doing pretty good for electric compared to gas prices. So when it comes to the sound system, this is going to be a 50-50. For me, it's good because I have the all-wheel drive, which comes with 17 speakers. There's one up here. There's, you know, multiple on the doors, the back. I get the sub. Now, if you have the rear-wheel drive, I heard the speakers suck. So if you want that nice sounding audio, it would definitely be better to go with the performance or the all-wheel drive so you can get that better speaker quality. But this is a pro for me because I have the all-wheel drive, but if you have the rear-wheel drive, it's probably not a pro because the sound quality is not as good. This next one is basically an overall of the car in general. The exterior, the interior, it's all sleek. It all looks nice. There's nothing too crazy. Not a lot of stuff going on really. It's just a simple screen. You got a couple chargers. You got console. It's just basically the bare minimum in a car, and I feel like it's great. I don't want all the extra buttons. Of course, the screen has all the buttons, but like I feel like as simple as it is, it's very nice and it's very solid. Other than the build quality I was talking about, I think it's a very solid design that they have going for this car. I don't know about y'all, but for me, locking myself out of this car would be damn near impossible because I have my phone, I have my Apple Watch, I have my key fob, I have my key card. I have a lot of different ways to get into this car myself that I feel like it's pretty hard to lock yourself out of this car. If I lose my key, if I lose my phone, if I lose my watch, one or the other, the odds of me losing all four of those at the same time would be very hard to do. And even then, I could connect it to another phone that I have, could really not lock myself out of this car. And if I do, I'd have to be the dumbest person in the world. And the last pro I have for the car itself, like physically, would be the full self-driving. Even though it's not necessarily a physical feature, it's something that the car can physically do. And I feel like it's amazing for road trips. I rarely touch the wheel. I drove all the way to Austin and back, pretty much, I would say 98% full self-driving. There'll be times where I want to weave through traffic a little bit quicker than the car will. And I just think that full self-driving has come a long way since I first got the car. The first time I did get the car and I drove to College Station, it did try to drive me off the road. It took me into a turning lane at full speed at night, and yeah, that kind of sucked, but I was able to, you know, obviously I was watching, I was able to correct it, and, you know, I was not able to crash, which was a good thing. And I just feel like overall the full self-driving is a solid software for long road trips especially, and, you know, it gets you to point A to point B pretty smoothly. Now that we're done talking about the pros of the physicality of the car, I think that the tax credit is definitely a big pro when it comes to trying to buy a Tesla for a cheaper price. Obviously, you have to make a certain amount of money, or if you make over, I should say, you won't get the tax credit. But if you're able to get the tax credit, I feel like it's a decent thing to get because it's a $7,500 discount. And then sometimes they run promotions for the referral links and you get an even bigger discount. So I think having all that combined definitely makes it worth, or not, no pun intended, literally worth it, of getting a Tesla because it's not as expensive as people think. Now I heard, I don't know, I could be wrong, that they are going to be getting rid of the tax credit, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. I definitely could be completely wrong. And to add on to that pro, another pro would be that they're always running promotions. There's always discounts in general on top of the tax credit. So you're able to get sometimes like $2,000 off if you buy a Tesla. They have a lot of promotions. I think as of right now, they're running a lot of promotions on the Model Y, the new version. And, you know, if you're wanting to get a Model Y, use my link down below again and you get, you know, the free full self-driving. But I think that having those promotions on top of the tax credit will just make people more inclined to buy a Tesla. I know there's a lot of controversy with Tesla right now because of Elon, and people are not wanting to buy Teslas for that reason, but honestly, they're great cars. If y'all do that, like, there's no reason to hate the company when he's not necessarily the company. And obviously, yeah, it's his company or whatever, but I feel like the cars themselves are pretty decent. They get the job done, and, you know, they're relatively cheap to maintain. There's no maintenance, which is a big pro. I don't even know why I didn't even mention that. The maintenance is literally 0 to none, other than the windshield fluids, the wipers, and the tires. Like, that's pretty much all you got to do to replace you know, in the car, and there's no oil change. Like, even if you go get your car inspected, like in Texas, you need to get an inspection. You don't have to do an emissions. You just got to get the inspection. Like, just the maintenance in general of this car is so low. Even if you have to change your tires, it's still going to be a lot cheaper than having to do oil changes every, you know, was it 3 to 4 months, whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I feel like the maintenance is definitely a big pro. Now, the pros that my friends had are that it feels luxurious. The car feels luxurious to them. I don't feel like it's the most luxurious car, but in my opinion, but again, not a lot of people, you know, ride in Tesla, so this might be a luxurious experience for them. It is a pretty comfortable ride other than getting car sick if you're not used to that. But other than that, I feel like it's pretty luxurious, I guess. I mean, it has nice suede material on the doors, at least for the all-wheel drive. If you get the rear-wheel drive, you get the crappy filling doors. But I don't know, I feel like it's It's decently luxurious for what it is. The next pro for them would be the separate temperatures. And I know that's common in a lot of cars, but being able to like turn off and control your, temperature from just a screen and then moving their thing over without having to change the little blades and the stuff, I feel like that makes the car a lot more convenient for the passengers. And especially back here, being able to control your thing from just a screen. I feel like the screen is a very good pro for the passengers and the backseat at least. And they can control it. They can see how far we are from certain places. They got TV back here, they got games, they got, volume controls. The only thing I wish they added in this model, because I know the Model S has it on their back screen, is like the temperature control. They can't control the temperature back here on this car, which kind of sucks, but you know what it is what it is. They can suck it up for a little bit. And, obviously you could turn the screen off completely. You could turn the AC off completely. Like, there's a lot of things this little back screen can do. And I just feel like it's overall, that branched off from just temperature, but overall a nice feature to have. And despite the car sickness allegations, some of my friends liked how smooth the car was and liked the acceleration of the car, because I guess with normal gas-powered cars, if they're not like a sports car, you're not gonna get that instant torque for this price, and you're not gonna get as smooth of a ride in certain cars. And that's due to the fact that there's no engine, shaking, there's no transmission going on. There ain't nothing other than just a battery. So I guess it makes the ride a lot smoother overall. I know I said a con from friends would be the UI being difficult, but some of them like the full self-driving UI. They think it looks cool. It shows a little map in the top right when you're in full self-driving, and they like how it looks like a little GTA map, or how you can see the cars driving by, or motorcycles or bikes, whatever it is, pedestrians walking. They like how there's all that cool little features that looks basically like a video game when you're driving. And I don't know if I put this as a friend's pro or if this was a my pro. It might be a my pro, but like a pro for me. And it's how the hurry mode in full self-driving cuts up in traffic, how it, weaves through, and it cuts up pretty good. Like, sometimes it's a little scary, but it's pretty accurate for the most part. But I like how it's determined to get around traffic. But yeah, that's pretty much all the pros that I had from having this car for 6 to 7 months and over 10,000 miles. And if y'all have any pros or cons that y'all think I should have talked about, go ahead and comment those down below and we can have a little discussion about that. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Again, if y'all want to buy Tesla accessories, go ahead and use the link down below. I get a little kickback to buy more accessories to show y'all, test them out for y'all, let y'all know what I think about them. And if y'all want to buy a Tesla, go ahead and use the Tesla referral link down below. But yeah, that's the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.